I'm attending one of the most prestigious research universities in the world, working out 3 times a week, working 10 hours a week, all while maintaining a social life. And with all that going on in my life, how is it even possible that I'm able to learn a language? Well, let me show you. Section 1. Finding time. The most important thing that I do to make time to learn a language is schedule my days out via Google Calendar. I schedule out when in my day I have classes, work, and events, and I also schedule out when and how long it will take me to do what I need to do in a day. After all of this is done, it's very easy for me to see how much time I have left in a day, and I can use that to see how much time I have to learn a language. With this time, you could converse with natives, study grammar if you are a psychopath and hate having fun, or even just memorize daily words to get a base vocabulary. What I like to do is set a goal for how many hours each week I want to study a language. For those of you who are not busy, this could be quite high, like 5 hours a week. For me, however, I try to fit in at least 1 hour a week of practice, ideally 2. Going into this next semester, I'm hoping that I'm able to spend 1 hour each week on both Portuguese and on Swahili. And you don't need to dedicate hours a day in order to learn a language. This is one of the many misconceptions about learning a language. You don't need to spend hours a day in order to learn a language. Just an hour a week will allow you to see progress within 2 months if you're just starting out. But what if you can't even fit in 30 minutes a week? For many of you, this is the case. It's not so easy to find time. You may have kids, which can be a huge problem. Responsibility. You could work more than one job. You could be involved in athletics. Whatever the reason, many people just don't have enough hours in the day to fit in learning a language. Luckily, there's a way to bypass this. Section 2. Passively learning a language. Once you get to a certain point, you can use passive learning to aid in your journey to learning a language. And I say this because you can't instantly start listening to podcasts and immediately begin improving. You need some base knowledge on how the language is set up and some basic vocabulary that you can latch onto. Once you have these, however, it's very easy to find circumstances in which you can improve your listening. For example, most people commute to places such as work, athletic facilities, or even just to a friend's house. During this time, you can listen to a podcast or listen to elementary conversation practice. I have a whole video explaining where you can find resources for this type of thing, so if you need any advice, I would just consult that video. Some other activities in which you can improve your listening are working out and cleaning. Sometimes even just finding when you're able to listen is challenging. One of the easiest ways to identify this time is to figure out when you go on social media. Social media is the go-to time killer in modern society. So if you can identify when you go to kill time via social media, you can identify the time that you have in the day to learn your language. You can identify the time in your day that you have to learn a language. You just may need to prioritize things a little bit differently. Section 3. Changing your lifestyle. Okay, so hear me out. This tip sounds a lot more dramatic than it actually is. It isn't like completely upending your belief system. It's more like changing the activities that you already do to assist in your language learning journey. Instead of listening to music in your native language, you can listen to music in your target language. Or instead of watching a movie in your native language, you can watch a movie in your target language. It can even be as drastic as changing your phone's language to your target language. Whatever you choose to do, it will expose you to your target language. And the idea is, over time, you will grow more accustomed to the language and interacting with it will become easier as this happens. Section 4. A final note. The last thing I want to mention is timing. It is better to study for 15 minutes per day over the course of 4 days per week than it is to study 1 hour per week all in one day. And if you don't have any opportunities to do this, you can always do some flashcards or a Duolingo lesson at the end of the day right before you go to bed.